Welcome back to Loan Watch, our monthly series following the Chelsea youngsters on loan across the globe for the 25-26 season. Today we are talking success in Europe. We are even talking international call-ups, as well as a newly announced loan move. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, not just for all your Chelsea loan updates, but Chelsea Academy, Chelsea First Team. If there is anything related to Chelsea, it's covered on this channel. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button as well. But we will jump straight into it, and we will do so with the newly announced loan move. 19-year-old Ted Curd, the newest addition to the loan watch list, joins Boreham Wood on loan as of last week. He is 19, an England under-19 international, and has been progressing fairly consistently with the Chelsea development squad with the under-21s this season. He signed a new 3-year deal at Chelsea in April and has been with us since under-9s. So this is an initial 1-month loan move to get senior minutes at a higher level, I believe to provide injury cover as well to a Boreham Wood goalkeeper. He did get his first 90 minutes, joined last week and started immediately against Tamworth. Unfortunately, succumbed to a 2-1 defeat, but fingers crossed Ted Curd will be getting a lot of minutes between the sticks for National League side Boreham Wood this season, who are, let's just give them a quick minute, they've been in great form all season, and fingers crossed this is a great opportunity for Ted Curd to get some well-needed first-team minutes under his belt. Next up, and staying in the UK, Leo Castledine at Huddersfield Town in League One, who had a particularly good September. I believe he was the Player of the Month, or voted Player of the Month for Huddersfield in September, and he has scored his second and third goals of the season, but unfortunately October has been a bit of a sticky month, both for himself and for Huddersfield. 3 losses overall, and Castledine was forced off injured in the first half of the 3-0 defeat to Wycombe. So, fingers crossed it's just a small injury. Fingers crossed it doesn't keep him out for too long, as he has been a regular starter and a key player for them. Not just a loanee, he has been a very, very important part of the starting lineup so far for Huddersfield Town. So, fingers crossed the injury is not serious. And staying in League One with Cardiff City and Omari Kellyman. Significantly more positive and a very, very busy month for Omari Kellyman. 5 matches across 3 competitions. Right at the top of League One. I believe they're just 2 points behind Stockport and they are in 5th. But his big moment was obviously his first goal of the season. He has been ramping up his minutes. Omari Kellyman, a player that we didn't see too much of last season, mainly due to injury. Obviously came in from Aston Villa, 19 million, not very much known about him, except for the fact that he was, young, prospect, a lot of potential, but injuries did hamper his season or his development last season. So great to see him getting regular minutes, not just in the league, but he also got minutes in the EFL Trophy, the FA Cup as well. And, well, that includes 57 minutes in the loss to Peterborough, in which Jimmy J Morgan featured. Quite a few of the loanees coming up against each other last month. I think Huddersfield did play against Bolton as well. So Leo Castledine against Teddy Sharman-Lowe, who is doing significantly better, I think, than any other player in League One at the moment. Teddy Sharman-Lowe continues to play every single league minute for Bolton thus far this season. 3 wins from 4 last month, including a huge clean sheet versus, at the time, top of the table, Cardiff. He's now on 4 clean sheets in 15 matches after another excellent performance against Port Vale last week. Teddy Sharman-Lowe, a player that was a fan favourite when he was on loan last season, and again, Bolton fans speak very, very highly of him. Very, very successful loan move so far. As I said, played every single league minute for Bolton so far in League One. So long may that continue. Long may these performances continue. Fingers crossed Teddy Sharman-Lowe continues to develop at Bolton as he is. And we mentioned there Jimmy J Morgan, Peterborough United. Jimmy J Morgan started all 3 league games for Peterborough and no league goals last month after a 4 in his first few games, but he did get a big one in the EFL Trophy, coming off the bench to score the winner against Crawley and then grabbed an assist versus Wimbledon the week before. So still contributing, whether it's off the bench, whether it's from the start. Jimmy J Morgan still putting in numbers at Peterborough United, doing very, very well over there. And Ishe Samuels-Smith, a player that we didn't have too much to discuss last month. However, he has got more minutes and had a standout moment this month, starting on the left of a back 3 in the Carabao Cup against Man City. Swansea did take an early lead, but unfortunately City did eventually turn that around and won 3-1. Ish played 83 minutes and I think held his own. It was a good performance. It's the first that I've seen of him, or first I've watched of him in a Swansea shirt this season, and I thought he was fairly solid. He's a player that I've got very, very high hopes for. If you want to know more about Ishe Samuels-Smith, go and watch the previous episode where we discussed the initial loan moves, as he was, well, supposedly on his way out on a permanent to Strasbourg, but that all came crumbling down, and he is on loan, just on loan at Swansea City this season. After that City game, he got his first Swansea assist in a 2-1 loss to Preston, and then started again versus Ipswich. He came off at half-time with the Swans 1-0 down. They eventually lost 4-1, so it definitely wasn't his fault. That's all we can say there. And another player getting more minutes, and this is, I think, a big positive for Chelsea fans who followed Caleb Wiley last season. Similar to Ishe Samuels-Smith, he is a natural left back, natural on that left side of defence, and this is a position that that has been highlighted in the current squad of Chelsea as being a little bit light in terms of backup for Cucurella. I know Jarell Hatto was brought in this season, but Caleb Wiley has long been kind of prospected as a potential understudy, a potential successor to Marc Cucurella in that left back role, and there has been a managerial change at Watford, which has brought about a bit of a role change as well. He is still starting on the left back, but he was playing as more of a wing back under Pezzolano, and he has, well, consecutively made the last 5 appearances with 3 straight starts, which is very, very promising signs for a player that has been in, out. He's been, every time it looks like he's got to full fitness, there's been another niggle, another setback. It's been 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the last year and a half for Caleb Wiley. So fantastic to see him getting minutes, getting starts at Watford, and fingers crossed he continues to start under new boss Xavi Garcia. Ronnie Stutter and Brodi Hughes, not very much to speak of on those two at the moment. Ronnie Stutter just 15 minutes off the bench last month in the FA Cup loss to Fleetwood, and then Brodi Hughes playing for AFC Wimbledon. No notable minutes, a couple of brief appearances off the bench, but he remains on the bench at the moment. Another talented fullback in the Chelsea ranks, so fingers crossed. If nothing changes there, I think he might be one of the players that we look to bring back in January, alongside Kiano Dyer, who I was very excited about this move, playing for Volendam in the Eredivisie. We know how the Dutch league can be a breeding ground for Chelsea's success. I mean, recent examples, Mason Mount, Armando Broja at Vitesse, very solid development stages for that, big parts of their kind of development. And they both had very, very fruitful campaigns over in the Eredivisie in the Dutch league. But Kiano Dyer, unfortunately, just 2 short cameos totaling 4 minutes last month. 1 in the league, 1 in the cup, and he has been on the bench ever since. So this could be one who needs a new move in January. Obviously got called up to the first team last season under Enzo Maresca. Got his first senior Chelsea minutes as well, similar to Sam Raksaki. But having made that next step, having got that loan move this season, doesn't look like he has kicked on, and I don't think it's really fault of the player. I think it's more lack of minutes, lack of opportunities being given to him. However, I think he is definitely a player that I want to see more active in the second half of the season. So if nothing changes in the next month or so, I think he could be one that could be recalled back in January. But moving from the negatives to the positives, and we'll head over to Europe. We'll head over to Strasbourg, where the trio of Kendry Páez, Mike Penders and Mamadou Sarr continue to impress in their own respective ways. Starting at the back, and Mike Penders, ever present in League One, ever present for the Belgium under-21s as well. Strasbourg currently sit 4th in League One, above Monaco, Lyon, Lille and Rennes, just 5 points off PSG, and he has provided 5 clean sheets in 11 games, as well as a penalty save. 1 out of 2 faced this season. Strong performance against Lille recently. Strong performances across the board for Mike Penders. He is a player that I think everybody speaks very, very highly of. Last year, obviously, they had George Petrovic in goal, Andre Santos being that midfield maestro. This year, Mike Penders looks to have succeeded Petrovic, doing similarly good work in between the sticks. Very, very strong keeper. Obviously, slightly younger as well. So, with all the conversations surrounding Chelsea and the goalkeeper position, is Sanchez ever going to be good enough? Is Jorgensen ever going to be in contention? Are Chelsea going to go in for a more senior keeper? I think the general consensus is that Chelsea are holding out for next year for Mike Penders to join the fold and, fingers crossed, compete with, whether it's Robert Sanchez, whether it's someone else, I do not know, but I feel like they have got a lot of hopes, a lot of expectations pinned on the shoulders of Mike Penders, and I've got to say, I think rightfully so. He looks like an excellent buy, an excellent prospect, and if he continues to develop at this level, I think he is going to be more than ready to start for Chelsea next season. Obviously, it's always a little bit of hit and miss, moving over to a new league. It doesn't always translate, the form in League One is not always going to be immediately transferable to the Premier League. But that being said, I think I've seen enough of Mike Penders. I mean, his footwork, his distribution with his hands, his saving. There are reasons that this guy is compared to Courtois. Very, very good reasons that he is compared to Courtois. But it's not just him plying his trade very positively over in Strasbourg. Mamadou Sarr returned from injury and captained Strasbourg, helping them with back-to-back clean sheets versus Auxerre and Lille. He also received his first Senegal call-up. So he has officially pledged his allegiance to the Lions of Teranga, and he made the bench versus Brazil, which is absolutely massive for him. I'd love that as well when a player, I think he had the choice of Senegal or France, and he chose Senegal. And, when you've got those two options, we see it a lot with players that have the opportunity, dual nationalities to play for England or somebody else, maybe a lesser known or not as notable nation. But I have nothing but respect for players that pick that second option, the one that isn't England, the one that isn't France, the one that isn't Brazil or Spain. So all fair play to him, all respect to Mamadou Sarr. Fingers crossed he can work his way into the Senegalese national team as well. But he's one that we've got a particularly close eye on. Obviously started the season very well, had that small injury which kept him out kind of between September, October, but now back in the side for Strasbourg, back with the captain's armband on his arm, and fingers crossed. I mean, this is a player that I've been saying, if all goes well, Chelsea could look to cut the loan short and bring him into the fold in January to replace someone like Benoit Badiashile, Wes Fofana, Axel Disasi. A lot of conversation around centre-backs at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and Mamadou Sarr, while not being, that 27, 28-year-old, been there, done that centre-back, he is definitely, I think, an upgrade on a couple of the players that we have playing for us currently. So, fingers crossed his development continues, and fingers crossed, we see much more of him in the coming months. And another player that everyone has been incredibly excited to watch this season and will continue to be excited about is Kendry Páez, who's getting starts in the Conference League, appearances off the bench in 3 of the last 4 League One matches as well. But he started against Slovan Bratislava in the win there and the draw versus Jagiellonella. I think they've got 7 points from 3 games in the Conference League, so yet to lose a game in the Conference League. He earned more Ecuador minutes along Caicedo this international break as well. It's all moving very positively for Kendry Páez. This is another player that obviously is very young. We don't want to heap too much expectation on, but he is developing superbly. And with the likes of Valentin Barco, Julio Enciso also doing very, very well in Strasbourg, it seems like they've got a nice rotation going. They've got a nice selection, a nice group of players there that they can pick and choose from. Very similar styles, and of course, not only, very young, they are also predominantly, a lot of them South American. You've got Barco, is Argentinian, obviously Kendry Páez, Ecuadorian. You've got a lot of players from that South American contingent over in Strasbourg succeeding at the moment. So fingers crossed we are going to get more minutes from him next month. And then moving over to Germany, Nicolas Jackson, can we say he's finally hitting his stride? He's grabbed 2 goals in the Champions League, back-to-back games against Paphos and Club Bruges, and he finally grabbed his first Bundesliga goal in the 3-0 win over Leverkusen. It is looking very unlikely. I know that the Bayern higher-ups have been saying it for a while, that they won't trigger the clause that makes him stay. It's looking very unlikely that he stays permanently. But we need him at the moment pushing Harry Kane, not just from a Chelsea perspective, both for his value, but also for Harry Kane's prep ahead of 2026 World Cup. As an Englishman, as somebody who will be supporting England in the England World Cup, the striker situation is a little bit of a tricky one at the moment. Obviously, Harry Kane, the only recognised number 9 consistently in Thomas Tuchel's side. So if he is going to be playing there, we need him in top form, and we need Nicolas Jackson pushing him every step of the way. On the other side of the pitch, from striker to defender, Aaron Anselmino, another player who returned from injury last month and just in time to make his Champions League debut as a late sub in Dortmund's 4-2 win at Copenhagen. He then started in the DFB Pokal after, played his first 90 minutes since February. It's been a while since Aaron Anselmino has been on the pitch. Huge minutes for him, huge moments for him, a huge month for him. And now we just need to keep him fit after the international break. I say we, Borussia Dortmund, need to keep him fit after the international break. This is another player similar to Mamadou Sarr that I think you could make an argument for in January. If he stays fit, if he continues to put in the level of performance that he has done and that we know he's capable of, I think he is definitely in the conversation to come back in January. And it did confuse me a little bit when we let him go to Borussia Dortmund in the summer, given our current centre-back situation. But he looks to be doing his job very, very well. Everything I see out of Borussia Dortmund's social media, out of the fans, seems to be very, very speak very, very highly of him, seems to be very complimentary. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Aaron Anselmino. He's another player that we followed over from South America, and fingers crossed we can just manage him correctly. So many of these Chelsea youngsters, I find myself saying, or Chelsea loanees, sorry, I find myself saying they need to be managed, they need to be nurtured, their injuries need to... A lot of these Chelsea players, as sad as it is to say, probably won't be with the club next year or the year after. But players like Aaron Anselmino, Mamadou Sarr, regardless of their injury records, I think these are players with top potential. So definitely one to keep an extremely close eye on this year. And last but not least, David Datro Fofana over in Turkey. He went quiet for a few weeks, but scored again last week in a 2-0 win over Konyaspor, which gives him 4 goals in 7 league games. His side are bottom, sitting rock bottom, unfortunately, of the Turkish Super League, which... I mean, I don't really have to say too much more about that, but his individual output has been very solid so far, and I believe he won something like the Fair Play Award for catching a defender that upended and almost would have snapped his neck. So, fair play, David Fofana. Keep doing what you're doing. I reckon you can hit 20 goals in the Turkish Super League, and then that way, I think we might make some profit on him. But another striker that came and went for Chelsea. Obviously, we had David Washington in the summer. Now back again with the under-21s. Doesn't quite look on the boil. Be interesting to see how all these strikers do. And of course, we have not quite on the loan watch yet, but we have players like Denis Satpaev ready to come through. Next year, I'm sure he will be included on the loan watch, the final year before he joins Chelsea. But for now, I think that just about rounds it up. That just about brings us to the end of our loan watch for October, November. As I said at the start of the video, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Chelsea fans, we provide all of the best, latest and greatest updates on this channel, whether it's loan watch, whether it's the academy, whether it's the first team. If it's related to Chelsea, you're going to get it on this channel. It's going to be covered here. So make sure to follow @2blues podcast on the Instagram to keep up to date with all of the latest news behind the scenes. And then make sure to subscribe to this channel for weekly uploads. This has been Loan Watch, the latest installment of our monthly series. We're going to be bringing you a new series very, very soon. Next week, the first episode of The Blueprint, a new series, new style of video for this channel, showing you the latest and greatest future wonder kids. We are going to be talking rising ballers. We're going to be talking next generation, future stars. There's only going to be one place to hear about it, and it's going to be the 2 Blues podcast. So until then, up the Chels.